Have you ever had one of those days, where you're constantly running around, feeling completely swamped, but at the end of it all, you feel like you haven't actually moved forward? It's a really frustrating feeling. Today, we're going to get into this illusion of busy, and really pull apart the difference between just being active and making real, meaningful progress. Yeah, it's that classic feeling of spinning your wheels. That end of the day exhaustion hits, and you look back on hours of, work, of jumping from one thing to the next, but you can't quite put your finger on what you actually accomplished. It's the perfect image of a hamster wheel, right? A whole lot of motion, but you end up exactly where you started. So, first up, let's give this feeling a name because it's a real thing. Let's call it the busy trap. And I'm willing to bet it's a state that many, many of us recognize. What does it look like? Well, it's that calendar just packed with back-to-back meetings. It's the constant stream of notifications and that email inbox that just never, ever stops growing. Each one of these things is demanding our attention, right? And it makes us feel like we're perpetually falling behind. And the result? You're totally burned out by the end of the day, but you don't have that satisfaction of a job well done. This really brings us to a huge, fundamental question. For a long time, we've been taught to see being busy as this badge of honor, like it's the same thing as being productive. We just assume that if our schedule is packed, we must be making progress. But is that actually true? All right, so let's really challenge that assumption head on. Let's draw a super clear line between two very different ideas, just being in motion versus making actual progress. The default thinking is pretty simple, right? Our culture tends to reward activity you can see. The person who answers emails the fastest or shows up to the most meetings, they're often seen as the most dedicated. We're basically trained to believe that more activity automatically means more achievement. But hold on, let's just pause for a second and really think about this. What if that core belief, the one we've built our work lives around, is just fundamentally flawed? What if all that activity, all that frantic doing, is actually just distracting us from the things that truly matter? Okay, this right here lays out the difference so clearly. On one side, you've got motion. It's all reactive, it's about keeping things going, answering emails, going to meetings. It definitely feels like work. But then you look at progress. That's creative. It's about actually solving a problem, finishing a project, or building something totally new. You see the difference? One makes you feel busy, the other makes you feel effective. So if that's the trap, how in the world do we get out of it? Well, let's explore a much more powerful way to think about this. It involves shifting our focus away from just doing individual tasks and instead thinking about building systems that create the results we want. Now, when I say system, don't start thinking about complicated software or a bunch of rigid rules. It's much simpler than that. A system is just a repeatable process, a workflow you design to reliably get you a specific outcome with as little friction as possible, almost like it runs on its own. And the logic behind this is really straightforward. First, you figure out your goal. What are you really trying to achieve? Then you design a process to get you there in the best way possible. And finally, you just keep tweaking and refining it over time. I mean, think about something as simple as making coffee every morning. Instead of hunting for the beans, the filter, the mug every single day, which is just motion, you create a system. Everything is in one spot, ready to go. The focus completely shifts from doing the task to designing the machine that basically does the task for you. And here is the absolute crucial point. When you have a good system in place, you stop chasing progress. It's not something you have to hunt down anymore. You don't have to rely on sheer willpower or just frantic effort. Progress just happens. It becomes the natural, automatic result of your system running smoothly. Making this shift in how you think, it isn't about some huge dramatic change overnight. It's more of a quiet realization. It's that moment of clarity that just cuts right through all the noise and the clutter. And this right here, this is the core idea to hold on to. You can't catch progress by just running faster on the hamster wheel. It doesn't work that way. You have to be willing to step off, take a breath, and intentionally design the path that's actually going to lead you where you want to go. Ultimately, what we're talking about is a fundamental change in how we measure success. It's about moving away from a mindset of quantity, how many hours did I work, how many emails did I send, and shifting to one of quality and impact. It's about making sure the energy we spend truly, genuinely means something. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. As you go about your day, your week, just take a moment here and there to ask yourself, is what I'm doing right now just motion? Is it just keeping me busy? Or is this real progress, moving me closer to a goal that actually matters to me? The answer to that question, it might just change everything.